My third upload this afternoon is with regard to the role of mental health services in the community and in society. Basically, as I've mentioned now in my previous two uploads, there's been the concerns I have with regard to artificial intelligence and justice and truth finding. And in the second upload, the issue of relevance is with regards to authorities and victims of stalkers and imposters into innocent people's lives, law-abiding citizens, people, these law-abiding citizens' lives. So this upload is regarding mental health. As I've mentioned, I've had the experience of research and studies in behavioural psychology, cognitive behavioural therapy, addiction studies, etc., all since 2006, and I've played a prominent role in the fellowship since then also. So there's not only imposters in this situation, perpetrating identity theft, financial theft, spiritual theft, etc. There's also the issue not only of imposters, but individuals that have basically imposed and relayed false information intentionally in their plan for violating my constitutional rights. This has been a collective vendetta, and these efforts have been simply to safeguard the interests of the guilty culprits that are avoiding and obstructing justice. Now, as a victim of these people's defamation of my character and reputation and good name, these matters being facilitated doesn't inspire much hope for victims of crime, hate crime, property theft, financial theft, children's rights violations, etc., etc. So mental health organisations that we're all aware of are, at the top of priority these days, especially with regard to health and well-being, which I've been working on over the past 10 years, that some incredulous individuals have thought it a part of their own good work without having any knowledge of me, without engaging with me. These are the nonsensical hypotheses that I'm being confronted with by such individuals that are actually undermining human rights, women's rights, children's rights, and perpetrating hate crime. So that's a huge delusion that's going on in this situation. And not only is there disinformation being provided to decision makers about the outcomes of these circumstances, but not only disinformation, but also the defamation, toxicity of these kind of individuals is a mental health issue. The toxicity of these individuals that think that by inhibiting and denigrating a professional teacher in society, by defaming and basically lying through their teeth and perpetrating daylight robbery and also involving themselves in not only a vendetta of hate crime, but also a harassment of human rights and basically what I've mentioned already, stalking. That's not comfortable for any modern woman to tolerate. And as I've mentioned, I've been contacting the relevant agencies and ombudsmen since this onslaught of offences was commenced, since I gave birth and got married in 2015. For anyone's dwellings to be trespassed and for anyone's information to be violated and falsified in a vendetta such as what I'm experiencing, without my legal rights being respected or acknowledged, and without support services or advocacy groups or anything like, that any government has been financing to be prevented from providing what is required for victims of these kind of individuals, makes me wonder about how mental health services are actually safeguarding innocent victims of these kind of people. So the mental health services that facilitate these individuals with their defamatory claims and their intrusions makes them just as guilty as the original deciders of who are the original instigators of this kind of a circumstance. So the mental health and well-being of individuals that need to cause these kind of problems makes me wonder about their mental health. And as a member of the fellowship and recovery, and as a student of behavioral psychology since 2006, um, I wonder about the well-being and mental awareness of these individuals, because as a peace campaigner, which is also a voluntary um, profession, that has also been disrespected by these people, the naysayers, the begrudgers, um, the disrespect to civic society and civil society is just how I find it unfathomable. How could any United Nations agency, the United Nations, any civil liberty groups ignore the disrespect that's been done to civil society principles? How are the politicians and the authorities ignoring the judicial rights of a law-abiding citizen? At what cost are people prepared to disrespect a spiritual light worker and the concepts and principles of spirituality? So this is all going on. There are many factors to this vendetta of hate crime, and the particular aspect in this upload is mental health and the mental health awareness of actual mental health professionals that have already violated my privacy, that have been involved in defamation of my character, reputation and good name, that have facilitated the individuals that have perpetrated financial theft against me and exploitation and abuse. So those kind of professionals, with the concept of a new Ireland developing, I'm wondering, with the experience I've had of contributing positively, as I've said, to my community, I'm wondering about how the politicians envisioning a positive new Ireland could possibly ever negate the seriousness of this kind of a circumstance, politically, economically, so societally, morally, etc., spiritually, etc., etc. So this is my concern, that there are professionals abusing their positions and facilitating injustice and the disrespect of civic society. This is ongoing, and they've continued to not acknowledge the issue. They've continued to lie through their teeth about the reality of the situation and the unethical means by which people have relayed and attained information, and they have facilitated injustice against innocent life. Those people that are avoiding the sick behaviour that has been perpetrated against innocents, that are intent on just avoiding the consequence of their actions, have no conscience. And it's common knowledge. 2017, when this commenced, the message that was being broadcasted was very different to what we're hearing about now. And now there has been more serious consequences to the fact that the individuals, professionals, ombudsmen, etc., that I contacted to rectify this fairly and justly and honestly, the fact that they ignored to rectify this properly, and that things have actually worsened for the innocent victims of this situation, and the pathetic attempt of other culprits in this matter to try and attempt reverse psychology and play the poor mouth, is just, it's delusional what people have attempted in this circumstance, simply due to my marital rights, my property rights, and issues that have been caused with regards to defamation and children's rights violations.